Okay. So my microphone is working, but now my VTuber model is not. Okay. There we go. Hey. I do not know why NVIDIA Broadcast likes to just randomly shut down. It's done that ever since I got it, like years ago. It's the weirdest thing. Also, don't know why Twitch is telling me that my 6K bitrate is unstable, considering that, what the heck, right? Like, it should work. So, I mean, they're pushing the 1440p, so you'd think, like, higher bandwidth, you're gonna need higher bit rates. But that is Twitch for you. I'm not gonna be doing the 1440p stuff. I don't have I have the power for it, but, like, why? You guys can't see it half the time anyway. 1080p is kind of pushing it as is. I would rather have a cleaner image than a higher resolution image. And currently bitrate just doesn't allow that. So, that's more important to me, I think, because I think right now there's so much compression in streaming for games that, like, what I see on my TV, I go back and I rewatch it, and I'm often just kind of like, wow, that's kind of crappy looking. Like, it really is kind of frustrating, because, like, when I'm seeing on my screen is, nice colors and sharp images and stuff. And then, like, I go and I replay it and it doesn't have that for you guys. It's more muted. There's a lot of compression blocking and things like that. Just the quality just could be better, and it's not. And Twitch just kind of really fallen behind. Like, AV1 encoding is really nice. HV they're moving to HVENC 5, I think it is, because they're on 4. So they are working on it, but, like, YouTube is just beating their pants off when it comes to streaming technology, which is ironic considering Twitch is, like, supposed to be the best of that. And I hate to say they're not, but, like, Twitch is fine. Like, if you think about what Twitch's traffic is every day, I mean, like, they're doing great with this technology. But, like, yeah, it does leave a lot to be desired sometimes. So those improvements that they announced at TwitchCon this year, they're going to go a long way. Things like being able to rewind back the stream a little bit if you miss something. That's probably one of the most, if not the biggest change to the site that's going to be, like, very user friendly, especially for people who, because of advertisements, they miss stuff. Like, my number one complaint about the site is that advertisements are ruining not only discoverability, but also, just the fun factor of watching somebody stream. I literally had an instance last week where, right when the person was about to say or do something very interesting, like, I've had actually multiple instances of this, but, like, last week it was really annoying, especially because the person was playing a game and they were at the climax of the game. And right when they were about to, I don't remember what it was, but there was a very critical moment, and just an ad kicks right in. And then when the ads are done, is also, like, perfect timing, is exactly when the streamer was done with their thing. And it was just kind of like, are you kidding me? So, and then with Twitch Turbo, like, to be honest, like, I think Twitch Turbo is a great thing, but not really. Like, what Twitch Turbo does is allows you to not have any advertisements on the site at all. And any streamer you watch, when ads play, even though you're not watching them, the streamer is getting all the revenue as if you are watching them, which is awesome, right? But Twitch Turbo currently costs, let's see here. Hold on a sec. I have to go to my normal thing here. Okay. Bits, notifications. Oh, here we go. go ad free for free. So you get a 7-day free trial, but that is $12 a month. $12 a month is kind of pricey, like all things considered. Like it's for what you're getting. Yes, you are getting a really nice advantage. No commercials on Twitch, but like that's kind of all you're really getting. If you're a Amazon Prime subscriber, you're getting actually even less. While you are getting the advantage of like Prime Gaming games and stuff like that, the benefit for Twitch Turbo, besides ad-free viewing, is just extended broadcast storage. You get 60 days, but you get that anyway if you're a Twitch Prime subscriber. So like, you're not really getting any extra benefit for your $12 a month outside of the ad-free viewing, which, by the way, is very nice. But, if you want people to pay $12 a month for Twitch Turbo, you kind of have to sweeten the pot just a little bit, toss in like a free sub like Prime Gaming, it has, or, some free games, or just anything, better bitrate, like, give people better, like, perks for this. It would make it a lot easier to recommend. It just feels like it could be better. Or roll Prime Gaming into this so that people don't have to have Amazon Prime for it. Or, I don't know. Like, there's ways you get to make this work. So it's just really frustrating that, they jacked up the price to $12 a month, but then, like, that's all they really did with it. So, I just wish it was better. I really like the concept of Twitch Turbo. But especially now when, subscriptions are getting so pricey. For a lot of people, $6 a month is, for one stream. I mean, you have to really like that streamer. And I do feel like that's why they're doing that 35% special more frequently for gift subbing and stuff, because, they know that subs are getting too expensive for most people. But this is a platform that's built on subscriptions and donations. So they have to do something to keep that money rolling in. But in any case, so yeah, we're gonna wrap up all of the Game Festy stuff going on with the Xbox Game Showcase. I haven't heard much about this, to be honest, which I'm surprised at. So I'm not sure if there just wasn't really a lot of major announcements or what. The only thing I know is that they did officially announce that Xbox handheld thing, but I don't know much about it. I just know it's in that ROG Ally, but I don't know how far they've gone with it. Other than that, I actually really don't know anything else about this showcase, which is strange because I didn't go out of my way to avoid spoilers like I did with Summer Game Fest and State of Play. So I don't know. Also, this might be the last big event. I don't know if Nintendo is going to be doing a Nintendo Direct anytime soon. And I think all that's left is just like smaller titles and stuff that might still trickle out. But I think this is the last big presentation. So kind of strange. It's weird. Like, State of Play was pretty good. Summer Game Fest wasn't bad, but it wasn't like great either. It just kind of, outside of a couple of really good announcements, was kind of just what it was. And I still come away from Summer Game Fest feeling like I just miss E3. Not necessarily like, I mean, there was a lot of problems with E3, especially towards the end. But from a consumer focused standpoint, I miss the stage of, presence, and not just Keighley standing on a stage announcing trailers. Like, I miss when you had, Nintendo or Microsoft or Sony or whoever go out on a stage and put on a show. That just doesn't, it's not there anymore. Those moments, those highs and those lows of the show. And all the stuff that would happen on the show floor, all the little hidden reveals and developer interviews and stuff. It just made things a lot more interesting versus this like really carefully managed, curated, direct type environment we have now, where, yeah, it's cool. But a lot of times, especially like with this kind of stuff, it's easier to just go to a website and just look at the trailers and go, okay, I'm done. Like, there's really not much like else you can really say or do, about these kind of things. And even Nintendo, who infamously would be like the most interesting one of these to watch, has become very boring with their Nintendo Directs. If you remember the old days of Iwata, like, you'd have Iwata as a puppet, or staring at a banana, or Like there'd always be like, the Smash Brothers thing where him and Reggie had a battle, like literally they were fighting each other. Just very interesting, things to kind of, keep the tone kind of silly, but also, keep things interesting. Versus this like, hi, I'm the head of corporate production at Sony Entertainment. Here's a trailer, like, okay, sure. But like, it's not really that exciting. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. And, hopefully there's some interesting stuff. I'm trying to be positive here. Xbox. Yeah. Woo. I am, before I actually really get into this though, I do want to say like, I'm kind of curious as to what Microsoft's going to be doing. I know there's a lot of rumors behind the scenes that Microsoft is going to be refocusing on Windows as a gaming platform, which by all means, they should have been doing this a long time ago. This should have been the first thing they did. Like, why they went to the console market, I do not know. Ironically, it's probably better now for them to be doing it than it would be if they had jumped in all that years ago. Because, like, honestly, they couldn't get shit right. They still have a hard time getting shit right when it comes to the PC side of their business. At least when it comes to the consumer stuff. Like, they got a lock on all the business crap, sure, but, like, as far as I'm aware, at least, like, maybe it's terrible. but yeah, I mean, like, when it comes to the PC, like the consumer side of PC stuff, it's just, they've always been kind of weird, which is weird because like in the 80s and the 90s, Microsoft was always, like coming up with ways that consumers were finding PCs to be more accessible. And it just seems like when they decided to chase the living room instead of the desktop, it just, yeah. But, I don't necessarily know what monkey's paw way this is going to happen. There could be, they could just be going, everything's on Game Pass on PC. Or they could be building an actual, like you hit a button and it's Steam Big Picture, but it's actually just turning your PC into an Xbox. That could be that. Really don't know how they're going to integrate everything. Because to be honest, like, I don't mind the idea of an Xbox like game front. It's cool, right? Like, as long as it feels appropriately video gamey and console-y, I'm okay with that. The thing is like, what can you do better than Steam is going to have to be the thing that everybody asks themselves when they go into this on PC side. Steam isn't perfect by any stretch, but Steam is far and away the best application for buying, playing, and launching PC games. Now I'm just saying that as like a general rule of thumb. Like, the level of what you can do with Steam as a game developer, as a game player, a game purchaser, and somebody who's trying to manage their library and get games to work. Like the Steam input alone makes games far more accessible than any other game storefront. Not EA, not Epic, and there are so many things that like the Epic Store is just not doing. Like, one of the frustrating things about the Epic Game Store, just as for somebody like me, just a normal PC guy, is that there is really, like, you look at your game library and you're like, I got this game for free from Epic. I'm really curious about playing this game. Let's click on it and see what the game is all about, because I don't remember what this game is about. It just has a really cool thumbnail. When you click on it, it just starts installing the game. You don't know what the hell it is, and it's already installing it, right? You don't have the ability to like hover over it and it gives you a brief description, with maybe some pictures or a video or something to show you what the game looks like. No, if you want to know what the game looks like, you have to go to these little like, button dot icon thing underneath it, then click storefront, then it takes you to the store page, then you can actually see what it is. Like, that's tedious, right? You should be able to just like hover over it or click or whatever to get to the store. Like, even Steam's not too perfect on this, but it's far and away a better experience to figure out what the hell game is in your game library than the way Epic does it. And Epic's already pretty clunky. Everything takes, time to load and stuff. So like, it's not even a very like snappy UI. So yeah, and honestly, like, one of the biggest benefits that Microsoft could provide PC gamers is if you want me to use your client, for your Xbox stuff, and you are aware that I have tons of games in other storefronts, integration with those storefronts to be able to pull the libraries so that I have a single place to get all my games from, or at least most of them, would be great. You could do this with Steam. It's just kind of tedious because you got to like add games to Steam. There are attempts like GOG Galaxy to kind of, like add all your games to, by linking your storefronts. But a lot of them are either kind of like complicated to figure out, or like they feel like there's a lot of hurdles, even if there's not. But they require a lot of tweaking to get them to work right. And also just like, it's just a lot of work, something that would be a bit more plug and play for, the simpletons of the world like me, or just, people who don't want to deal with that crap like me. It would be nice. It would be nice. Cause like, yeah, one of the nice things about PC gaming is that there's always tons of games, cheap, free. PC gaming has literally decades of games, and, being able to find ways to keep that going in terms of compatibility and stuff is fantastic. Like, there's more games on PC than you will ever be able to play, like literally ever. And a lot of times, yeah, it can be kind of like it's the jank of the PC. It's the good side and the bad side. The bad side is PC has the best backwards compatibility of any platform. But the downside is you got to work for it a little bit. You got to go find fixes, and you got to deal with some of the the quirks of this kind of thing. It is not plug and play at all. But one of the ways you can facilitate that is to make it so that it's easy to have your library of games all in one spot. And then that way you can kind of, don't have to fuss about which game is where. And all you got to do is just find out how to get it to work right. And even then, there's ways to help with that. Like the PC Gaming Wiki is great for, I have this game. And, it'd be really nice if this, like Dark Souls Prepare to Die edition. Let's say that you came, you found a thrift sale and you found a copy of Dark Souls Prepare to Die. Congrats. It's no longer being sold in Steam. So, you get your Dark Souls game. It's not the newest one, but, finally got a Dark Souls game for your PC. And you're like, I want to play this game, So you load it up and you find out that, oh my gosh, the graphics are terrible. The controls suck. But you hear that there might be a way to fix that. So you go to PC Gaming Wiki and it tells you everything you need to know. Download the Denuvo, or not the Denuvo fix, but the oh God, I can't remember what it's called, the DRM fix or whatever, but like there's a fix for it. Where you could download an application, it patches it all and gets it all set up. You can basically, fixes the controls. Like it basically makes the game perfect. And boom, there you go. You're in business. Like those types of things are very handy, but you do have to kind of seek them out and stuff. So yeah, with PC gaming, a little bit of frustration, but like the payoff is there if you're willing to put a little bit of time in. But that's also, like that is the line between PC gaming and console gaming. Console gaming, you don't have to worry about that stuff. But the downside is that, you're not going to be able to play PlayStation 2 games on your PlayStation 5. Unless they, like I know they have the streaming service, but like not every game will be available. So yeah, it's just it would be nice, for Microsoft to, like, if there's a Xbox PC, thing happening, I'm all for that. But yeah, that's just the quirk of the PC side, I guess. But yeah, without further ado, let's just get into all this before I start going off even more like an old grandpa. Let's see here. Boo, 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 boo. We got this wonderful, wonderful music that we're about to pause, though. All right. Nope, not that one. Oh, not that one. This. Perfect. Look at that. Oh. All right. Hopefully this is good. Hopefully it's good. I'm not holding my breath. Ooh. Oh, this is Clockwork.
Do you think I'd care that the colony is in disarray? We didn't come to Arcadia to get bogged down in pointless warfare. We came to spread freedom and liberate resources for profit. But this pesky Earth Directorate agent is mucking things up. They're not alone in doing so.
Wow.
And they think they can just choose how things play out. They could stop us from stealing the Protectorate's brainwashing technology, which we need to improve our market share. What if this stranger aligned with the Order and that world computer of theirs? That could be the key to closing the rifts that threaten the colonies. So, you see why this menace must be wiped from the face of existence. Or
This looks good.
brought to our side through the power of capitalism. Now, let's get out there and buy our way to victory.
This has like BioShock vibes, but like I can't tell if this game is trying to be sarcastic or serious.
The cost may be high. One day, I know you'll be mine. Someday, perhaps I'll own two. For now, I'll take one that's brand new. 'Cause I'm yearning and burning
Oh, we got Melted.
for you.
Oh, this is Outer Wilds 2? Or Outer Worlds?
An
Okay.
adventure made for capitalism by capitalism. Inflate
Eh.
our impressions and egos by staying tuned after the show.
The Fallout that's not a Fallout. I thought that was Clockwork. Clockwork looked interesting.
World premiere.
Babe, what's wrong?
Wow, they're just straight into trailers and didn't even like set us up for anything. See, this is what I was saying about the Holy Water thing.
I've just been so depressed lately.
You know, it would fix everything. Humanzapro.
Is this High on Life 2? Yep. This is so weird.
Yeah, humans are barely sentient. Scientists have done studies, and their brains are like half the size of ours.
Yeah. Eh. The first game wears out its welcome pretty quickly. Like, it starts out pretty funny, but then it's like, you kind of start burning out how much Justin Roiland's in it.
World premiere.
Okay. I have no idea what to comment on, except for the weird electrical wire. Oh, hey, it's Rise, City of Rome, too. No? Okay, maybe not. That's a big Minotaur. A Plague Tale Legacy. Okay. So I'm guessing a prequel, maybe? It's usually what they do. They don't, you know, like they'll make a prequel to everything. It's a box. Oh. Yeah. This is a handheld announcement, isn't it? Are you kidding me? You're using Silksong to promote your handheld? This better be an official like, what the... Is... Okay, look, either it's some big everybody, you know, it's a secret to everybody type of thing, you know, where everybody's in on this, that Silksong is releasing soon, or like, I don't know. This is just like, why do this? Just announce the fucking game. Like, especially during with the Keighley stage on Friday, where like, you know, I was gonna announce Silksong, but here's this Deadpool VR game. It's like, what? Like, why is this now the butt of like a joke? Like, I don't get it. It's the weirdest marketing, if it is marketing. Holiday 2025. I guess the other thing is that, like, with this is, like, is this just an ROG handheld, but with an Xbox button that takes you to PC Game Pass? Because if that's the case, you can already do that with an ROG. I don't know. Also, this is going to be a very expensive handheld. These things are not cheap. I think the cheapest one is like $400. And it's missing a lot of, like, stuff, like the coolest, nicer screens and all that kind of stuff, the extra power. Yeah, I think the more higher end stuff is like $700-800, which is a yikes. So yeah, this isn't really that exciting to me, to be honest. And I suppose I keep pausing. And I suppose the other thing too is like, this isn't like, I would not look at this and go, oh, this is an Xbox handheld. It is an ROG Ally, but with Xbox branding. Like, you know, this is literally, if this is literally what Microsoft's strategy is going to be. You know, we were talking about this last year when there was all the rumors that Microsoft was going to go third party, and then they had to like come out and, you know, put some PR spin on it. But the reality is that whatever the next Microsoft console is going to be, because there probably will be one, it is not going to be a console in the traditional sense of the word. It is going to be this kind of stuff. You know, this is an Xbox, you know, type of branding. Like, this is not, you know, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get, you know, the Asus Xbox or something like that. It's not going to be a dedicated console to console gaming, you know, blah, blah, blah. It is most likely going to be a Windows PC in a box that looks like a console, you know, but is not, and is powered by some brand that they've, you know, done a strategic partnership with or whatever, you know. So, because this is the Asus handheld, the ROG is Asus, you know, so I would not be surprised to see like an Asus Xbox or a Lenovo or MSI or whoever the big brands are, you know. So yeah, and honestly, this right here exists, as you know, the reason they're doing the handheld thing, the Steam Deck. Because the Steam Deck has something that is scary to Microsoft right now. They have SteamOS, which is Linux-based, and you can run it on an ROG. So you could have the SteamOS running on your ROG, which is basically native Steam support. You know, so basically you could turn one of these into a Steam Deck. That is a scary thing for Microsoft. They need to have a Windows PC handheld. And this is their way to do it. That's why they're partnering with this, but not with Steam. So yeah. So that's the other reason you're seeing this. And you know, it's just a sign of the future. Microsoft is very concerned that the small position they have left on PC gaming is going away. That's why PC Game Pass is cheaper than console Game Pass. Because, you know, it's still got a lot of issues. You know, and also because the number of people that are on PC Game Pass is not that high compared to console Game Pass. So yeah, they need to get their foot bigger into Windows, because they're losing it. Every step that their competitors take is a step that Microsoft is falling behind on. So this is just kind of, it's not the most exciting, announcement, to be honest. And there's a lot of things about it that probably leaves a bunch of questions that needs to be desired, but yeah, you know, this is not the next Switch. This is not the next Steam Deck. This is Microsoft trying to play catch up. So, which, you know, it sucks, especially if you're a Microsoft, you know, if you're an Xbox fan, like if you're somebody who has spent a lot of time in the Microsoft Xbox ecosystem over the decades. You know, if you grew up on Xbox, this has to be kind of frustrating. Like, my entry to Xbox was not the same as other people's. Like, I didn't really play the 360 at all. As a matter of fact, I skipped over the PS3 and the 360 for the most part. We did have a Wii, you know, that I played occasionally, but for the most part, I was PC gaming at that point. And, you know, so most of that generation I missed out on. You know, and I've gone back and enjoyed quite a bit of it. You know, but for me, my first entry to Microsoft was the Microsoft Xbox, the original Microsoft Xbox. I tossed it away. I was like, you know, this isn't my beloved GameCube. This isn't my beloved PlayStation 2. You know, this is just some, you know, inferior Microsoft bullcrap. And little did I realize that the library for the original Xbox is actually pretty cool. In a lot of cases, there's third-party ports that run better than, you know, either the Dreamcast, or not the Dreamcast, the GameCube or the PS2. So, you know, there's a lot of third-party ports that are just better. But there's a lot of original games, really good original games that, you know, you can experience a bunch of them through backwards compatibility, which is great. Microsoft kind of brought them forward with their game program, which is great. And I wish they do more of that. But I discovered that the original Xbox is a cool console that had a lot of great ideas, and also had a lot of really cool quirky games that just never really got brought forward past the Xbox 360. Like the Xbox 360 did try with a few of them, like some of the rare games, Cameo, Elements of Power, and stuff like that. But for the most part, the Xbox 360 kind of was its own thing as well. I think the Xbox 360 is the last Xbox that felt like an actual console and not just a product. It was like with the Xbox One, it was like full mask off, and they were like, here's our attempt to take over the living room, take it or leave it. And it was like TV, media. Gaming felt like it took a back seat. We're going to basically control everything about your life. That was the Microsoft Xbox One message. We're going to use, Kinect to spy on you. We're going to make sure that you can't connect to the, you can't play your games unless you're connected to the internet. You can't share your games because it's going to be locked to your console. It just felt very anti-consumer. And it's funny because here we are, over a decade after the Xbox One was announced, and ironically, they were right. Here we are, with games locked to digital issues, and it just it's a mess. And but the thing is but that's not a good announcement to be showing people when you're trying to hey, kids, how do you do, fellow kids? We have the new hip, gaming machine that you can watch football on. It's like, no, that's just terrible marketing. But they never really backed down from it. They kind of tried to pivot a little bit, but really, their marketing has either been intentionally bad or they just don't know how to market their own shit anymore. It's been just really bad. And even this stuff with this is an Xbox. I mean, all it does is just muddy the waters. What is an Xbox? That's my question. What is an Xbox? Is an Xbox the console? And not because people often talk about console identity. And basically they're like, I don't care, I just want to play the games. You'll see people before a game console comes out, one of the things people want to know is, what does this thing look like? Right? Because and people are like, I don't care what it looks like as long as it plays the games I want. And there's truth to that, right? Do you really care what your, PlayStation 4 looks like and, when it's sitting on your shelf? Not really. You ooh and on the moment, but you put it on the shelf, we forget about it because now you're playing Uncharted. But it does matter. It does matter. If you think about it, if I say PlayStation 2, you don't just think of what the console looks like. You think of the packaging, right, for the games you bought. You think of what the controller looks like. You think of the UI. When you turn on your PlayStation 2 and you get the, with the cool little, geometric shapes and stuff. You think about all of that, all of the vibes that you get with a console, because it's not just the look of the console, it's the experience of the console, right? How everything looks and feels. When I grab a GameCube controller, it is the most comfortable controller I think I've ever had. Holding a GameCube controller, the arguments about the button placement aside, holding a GameCube controller is a very comfortable experience. Maybe not for everybody, because nothing's 100% for everybody. But for me, it just melts into my hands. It fits perfectly. The Switch Pro controller, same experience. It just fits in my hands nice. Some people really like the Duke, the big ass Xbox controller, right? Kudos to them. But the Series, not the Series S, but the S controller for the original Xbox, much better. It just fits in your hands much better. The Sega Saturn had that American clunky thing. I don't mind it, but it's kind of a piece of junk. Let's be honest. But the Japanese Saturn controller, that is one of the best 2D controllers ever made. That is one of the best non-analog controllers ever made. The Saturn controller is amazing. It's not for everybody, of course, but it's amazing. It's very comfortable. When you're putting your hands on that thing and you're feeling each of the buttons, they all have their own feel. You can, the days where you can navigate a controller by how everything feels contextually, the bumps in the buttons and the feel of everything, right? I feel like that is something that's becoming a lost art, is that tactile sensation of using things, right? Like on this machine that you're looking at on the screen, like the buttons, the way they feel, how it looks when you rub your hand, like when you rub your finger across that plastic, what does that plastic feel like, right? The texture on it. Those little fan bumpy things that are speaker grills or whatever those are on the front, like you're going to rub your fingers on that, right? Like you're going to, like that tactile sensation, and you get this like muscle memory in your brain. So like when you see these types of things, you go, that's an ROG Xbox, right? Like that's a PlayStation 2. That's a DualSense. Like your brain thinks that's an Xbox controller, like that kind of feeling to it, right? And I feel like this is the problem with Microsoft, is it's like, what is an Xbox anymore? Like grandma and grandpa go to the store and you say, I need you to buy an Xbox Series X. Is it, but then they go to the store and they see Xbox One, Xbox One S, Xbox One X, Xbox Z, Y, G, Series 3, 4, 8. Like the branding is super confusing at this point, and it's like the mess isn't so bad that you can't navigate it, but at the same time, it's like it muddies the waters on what your shit is. Everybody knows what a PlayStation is because PlayStation has been very consistent from the start. 1, 2, 3, 4. I could argue that like the design of it isn't always appealing, or I can argue that like sometimes the feel of it isn't quite there. Like the PlayStation 5 really could use themes. I think actually all of the consoles could really use themes, because like with the Switch, don't get me wrong, I like my Switch 2. I think it's cool. I feel like it's an improvement over the Switch 1 in many ways. But one of the most annoying things was watching the developer sit there and give you this bullshit answer about why they didn't want to have a system theme for their OS, or even just music playing, saying that like, oh, it's going to bog down the system. It's like you have a PS5 or PS4 Pro level system, and you have like 9 gigs of RAM in this damn thing, and you cannot have a song running in the background, just to kind of give it some atmosphere. Like, yes, we know the Wii U UI was too much for that console, but like now any console could run that UI with no problem at all. You can't have any eShop music because it's going to ruin the performance of your eShop store. Like that is not a hardware issue. That is a software issue. You can't tell me that having a freaking song running in your eShop is going to bog it down. If it does, that's a problem. That is a very huge problem, right? Like you can't tell me that. You can't tell me that like instead of a boring black or white background on your Switch 2 that you can't have, a picture of Mario or something. Like what the hell? Who are we kidding here? The Wii had a better UI. The PS3 had the Xbox 360 had a better UI than all of the bullshit that's come out afterwards. And don't get me wrong, the Wii U had its performance issues. It even needed a patch to increase loading times, like to speed them up, because it was known to be notoriously slow for booting. But like, it's still something that you go back on and you're like, oh wow, this is kind of neat. Like, oh, there's sound and things react to when you hit a button, and like there's a cool splash screen, and like there's presence to these consoles, right? And now it's like, here's a UI, everything's a rectangle or a square, like there's no like, and I don't mean that they have to go like Persona levels of, or Sakamoto levels of, like Smash Brothers UI type stuff. Like you don't got to go that crazy direction either, but like this minimalism that we have for things, it's so frustrating. You need a little bit of flair, a little bit of splash, put some color on shit, like, make it kind of cool, Sega cool, where it's like, doesn't have to be super swooshy, fancy arrow, everything. But like at the same time, it doesn't have to be bland text on a bland box. It's just, find a happy medium, please. That's all I'm asking. Anyways, all this to say that this is cool, but I don't really think it's that amazing. Next.
At Xbox,
Holy shit, a person!
put the player first.
And that's what you've seen from us over the years. We've led the industry with backward compatibility. We championed crossplay and cross-progression. We deliver Game Pass, first on console, then on PC, and with cloud gaming. So,
let's see if there was anything sneaky in that.
With backward compatibility. We championed crossplay and cross-progression. We deliver Game Pass.
We got Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4. Call of Duty 6, Blueprints, Bioshock, so that's a lot of the same ones. Tunic, the OG Prey, Stardew Valley, South of Midnight. Persona 3 Reload. I'm pretty sure that's normal. Ninja Gaiden 4. Outer Worlds 2. Okay, nothing really too crazy. I'm gonna laugh if the Silk Song was here, but it's not. Expedition 33, front and center, of course. I don't see Gears. Maybe I'm blind.
First on console, then on PC, and with cloud gaming. So what's next? How can we give you even more freedom, more choice, more ways to play? Our next step is to unify your gaming no matter where you buy or play. So we're building an Xbox experience designed for players, not locked to a single store or tied to one device. The Xbox Ally is an Xbox you can hold in your hands, bringing together the power of Xbox and the freedom of Windows. On this Xbox, you can play games across your entire library, including all the Windows PC game stores, from Xbox and Battle.net to Steam, GOG, and Ubisoft Connect. And the highly anticipated Hollow Knight Silk Song will be available at launch and in Game Pass when the Ally releases later this year.
This is why I hate reacting to shit. Because then I go on that whole diatribe about shit, and then like, oh, yeah, actually, we're just doing this. By the way, so it's not a Nintendo exclusive, but I guess you could knock off Silk Song on the Steam predictions list, or the Summer Game Fest predictions list, because there it is, 2025, supposedly.
In fact, every new game you see in today's show will be playable on the Xbox Ally.
Yeah, wow, we already knew that.
I've always wanted you to have the unique experience of Xbox on any screen. That's why we're investing in Xbox Play Anywhere. Whether you're playing on console, PC, smart TV, or any Windows handheld like the new Xbox Ally, the Xbox experience roams with you. Your library, progression, friends, and achievements. There are over 1,000 Xbox Play Anywhere games on Xbox today. And every new game you see in today's show, from our partners and our studios, is Xbox Play Anywhere. And because it's Xbox, you can always have access to Game Pass with a diverse lineup of games from the biggest franchises to critically acclaimed indie hits. This is the freedom we believe players should have. Any game, anywhere. And we are giving it our all every day to make this vision real.
Damn, she's got sass on that.
From Dead to Rights on the original Xbox to Armored Core 6, our relationship with Bandai Namco Entertainment has stood the test of time. We both believe in bringing amazing experiences to players around the world, and their next game does exactly that. From Rebel Wolf Studio, this is a story-rich action RPG steeped in dark fantasy that I can't wait for you to explore. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the show.
All right, so she's jumping right into it. So real quick about that. So yeah, basically she just said what I said, which is, Xbox is going to look a lot different in the future. They're branding this differently, but this is basically just 3DO. This is just, this is them going, we're not a hardware company anymore. We are a software company. That's going to be our strength. We're just going to put Xbox everywhere. But Xbox is just a branding now. It's not a console. So, and that's what I was saying. The next Xbox is not going to be a Microsoft Xbox. It is going to be whatever the company is, and then it's just going to have the Xbox stuff on it. So when they make it seem like it's this amazing thing that like, oh, it's going to be Xbox and everything announced is going to be on Game Pass, and it's like, technically true, but then again, everything announced is going to be on Steam too. So, or PlayStation or whatever, right? Like, so this idea of like legitimacy is weird. It's weird. I wonder how well Xbox as a brand is going to fare without Microsoft tying it to a console anymore. I don't think it's going to go anywhere, but I do think that like what an Xbox is has officially changed, and this is kind of it. Like what you're watching is bittersweet. It's the beginning of the end. And, I mean, last year was obviously the real beginning of the end, but this is the official nail in the coffin. This is Microsoft saying, without actually saying it, because corporations love doing this bullshit now, where like they say shit without saying it. This is them basically saying we are out of the hardware business. Like, yes, we will still have things that are hardware with Xbox on it, but we are not making Xboxes anymore. Which, seems kind of hilarious given the marketing, right? This is an Xbox. This is an Xbox. This is an Xbox. Your toaster is an Xbox. Your fridge is an Xbox, right? Like, that's them basically saying like everything's an Xbox because we're not making an Xbox anymore. We're just putting Xbox on other things. Technically your Switch would be an Xbox if Xbox Game Pass was on it, right? Or your PlayStation could be an Xbox because Xbox Game Pass might be on it. Yeah, probably not, but you know what I mean? Like that, it's that kind of a thing. Your car is an Xbox because you can play it on your touchscreen. Like, that kind of branding. I don't know how well that marketing is going to stretch. But it is basically their PR speak way of saying like, yeah, we're done. We're done. We're not winning the console race because reasons. There's a lot of reasons, and they're all Microsoft self-inflicted wounds, but they left the 360 generation with so much goodwill. To watch them piss it all away has been one of the biggest things in the industry that nobody really talks about. Like if you really think about it, like they threw away so much because they came out of the 360 years, with a, this is our time to strike kind of mentality. So yeah, really frustrating to see. But yeah, I feel like ultimately the only thing that's really changing though for the industry, outside of just going from 3 to 2, Microsoft is at some point, I think, give it a few years, but I do think that at some point people are just going to start looking at Microsoft as basically just a third-party developer, who happens to put their branding on other people's hardware. But like, I think that like the mentality of Microsoft being a gaming company, it's going to fade like it did for Sega. The only people who still think of Sega as a hardware company are people like me who grew up with Sega as a hardware company. But like, that's it. There is no kid who grew up after 1999, unless they had a Dreamcast or some old console that their family still had. They do not think of Sega as an arcade company. They don't think of Sega as a hardware company. They think of Sega as a software developer. This is a company that makes video games, not a company that makes hardware. And I think Xbox is heading down that path for sure. And like I say it using Xbox interchangeably with the, thing, but it's Microsoft. They just don't put their, they just don't use Microsoft for everything. Ironically enough, if you think about it, this is just Microsoft going, like if you remember the old Nintendo thing about like how, like here, I'll pull this up. I'll pull this up because this now that I'm thinking about it, this is kind of funny. This is a Nintendo ad. Let's see here. Yeah, this thing. So Nintendo back in the day, Nintendo was so ubiquitous as a company that they had to make this. Like, so there's this effect. I don't remember what it's called, but essentially it's where the product name becomes so synonymous with the product that people just start using that product name for everything. Like when you say, like, I'm going to Google that, right? Google is not an action. Google is a noun, right? Like Google is the company, right? But people say, I'm going to go Google that because Google is basically the search engine. It's the one that everybody uses. Yeah, there's DuckDuckGo and a whole bunch of other ones, Bing. right? But nobody's like, I'll go Bing that, right? Or I'm going to go DuckDuckGo that, right? But they do say, I'm going to go Google that. And that's why, because the verb and the noun have become basically the same thing. Kleenex is another example. You know, people don't usually say, can you hand me some tissues? They say, get me a Kleenex. Well, Kleenex is a brand, not the product. The product is tissues, you know. Some people do say tissues, of course, but like some people also say, you know, DuckDuckGo and Bing it. Get a search engine, right? But the point is that Nintendo was afraid of this. They didn't want the brand Nintendo to become so ubiquitous that people called everything a Nintendo. You know, you had a Sega console, it was a Nintendo. Go play the Nintendo, you know. And so, yeah, you had this thing. This was posted as an ad, and also as set up as like other PSA type stuff. But it says there's the Nintendo Entertainment System, there's Nintendo Game Software, and there's Nintendo Power Magazine, but there's no such thing as a Nintendo. You see, Nintendo is an adjective, not a noun. It is our registered trademark that identifies the high-quality products marketed and licensed by Nintendo of America Incorporated. So please use our trademark carefully and never use it generically to describe all video game products. We thank you. Mario thanks you. Right? It's kind of funny, right? But they had a Nintendo Entertainment System. They had Nintendo Game Software, and they had Nintendo Power Magazine. And this is 1990. This is just before the Super Nintendo came out in America, right? And then the Nintendo 64, you know, and the Nintendo Game Boy. Like, they knew that by naming all of their stuff Nintendo before, you know, Nintendo first and then the product name after, that they were having this issue. And they didn't like it. Even the Nintendo GameCube. But like you notice, like, it starts weakening after the Nintendo 64. And the Nintendo 64, they didn't want to call it the Nintendo 64. They wanted to call it the Ultra 64. Because they didn't want the Nintendo branding there. And Ultra 64 honestly just kind of sounded cool. You know, but like, but the Nintendo GameCube, people just call it the GameCube. You know, sometimes they call it Nintendo GameCube, but yeah, usually just call it a GameCube. You know, Wii, instead of being Nintendo Wii, people just call it a Wii U. Now we just call it Switch. You know, the Nintendo is kind of more implied now than just said outright. So, you know, that trend has changed. And we all know it's Nintendo, but Nintendo has always tried to draw a very clear line between their company name and their branding. You know, so just like with Disney's name is on everything, but you never think of things as just a Disney. Like, you know, like you don't call everything Disney. So, yeah. But so we have the flip side of this now with Microsoft, where they're like, fuck it. Everything's an Xbox. Call it all Xbox. Not a Microsoft. Don't call it a Microsoft. But see, that's the thing. Like, they never called it Microsoft Xbox. They called it an Xbox. They never called it Microsoft Xbox 360. They just called it Xbox 360. You know, Microsoft was never really put in any of their product names the way like Nintendo did it, where they called it the Nintendo Entertainment System. You know, so like, yeah, it's a difference here. But like, yeah, this reminded me of this. I thought it was kind of funny. But yeah, ultimately, yeah. So, hooray! Here's to the future of Xbox. I find it funny that like the ultimate thing here that they announced was the Silksong thing, and it's still kind of drowned out in this other announcement, you know, of like, here's the future of Xbox and all that. So, yeah, I don't know. Strange times. Funny that we're 11 minutes into this and I've been going off for about an hour. I just have so much to say about this type of thing because it fascinates me. As somebody who went through, you know, the 90s and the 2000s, watching the industry change as major players would drop in and out. I always felt that this was inevitable for Microsoft because the problem with Xbox, the problem with the Xbox in the first place, and it was much more noticeable after the original Xbox, because with the original Xbox, you have to give them some breathing room, you know, like to find their space in the industry, find their identity. The thing is that the identity of the original Xbox, and this goes back to what I was saying before about how a library and packaging and how everything feels for a console, it changed a lot with the Xbox 360. So then you're like, okay, they're going to go more of that route with it. You know, the Xbox 360 kind of had that, because everybody did at the time. Kind of had that Apple vibe. Kind of had that like you know, like Sega gamer type vibe to it. It definitely was a bit cooler than, say, like a PlayStation 3. You know, and you know, like there's nostalgia for Xbox 360, like the Blades UI and stuff. People will bring that up and be like, oh, those were the days, you know, like there's that kind of like mind share, right? You know, that like the Xbox One and everything after it just has never been able to recapture. But the original Xbox definitely feels like its own unique console. It feels like its own unique thing. You know, and that's what's changed, right? Like, you know, like if you think about it, like when you look at, you know, like what is different now, you know, that is what changed, right? But like when you look at like how are they ever going to advance in the market? It's like, what made Sega different from Nintendo, right? Like even today, let's say Sega was just decided to put out a new game console, you know, the Dreamcast 2 or the Sega Ultra Drive or something, right? You know, instead of the Mega Drive or whatever, right? Try to come up with cool names, you know, the Sega Jupiter, you know, like people would go, holy shit, a new Sega console? Like Sega still has that identity. If Sega decided to start putting games on that thing, it would feel like a Sega console. Like it would have that like vibe to it, because that's Sega. Sega DNA has not changed, even though they've gone third party. Every time you play something Sega, you're like, oh, that's Sega. You know, like it hasn't changed. The marketing even is still basically just Sega. You know, it's not the Sega, you know, type stuff, but like it's not really not either. You know, the Attitude Era has kind of changed, but everything else about Sega is still Sega, which is wild to say if you think really about it, because so much has changed about Sega. But like, yeah, right. You know, but there's space for that in the market. There's space for a Sega, you know, even a Sega that's chasing specs and hardware, like they tried to, you know, like they could still compete with Nintendo. They could still compete with Sony. They could be their own third rail of, you know, third pillar of the industry. Microsoft has just never really been good at that. Like Microsoft sits on a boatload of franchises, especially now that they've been buying up all of these companies. You know, but like at the end of the day, Activision Blizzard is still just Activision Blizzard. Bethesda is still just Bethesda. You know, King is still King. You know, like these companies, they're under the Microsoft umbrella, but none of them feel like Microsoft. There's no like Microsoft DNA type thing happening, right? There never has been. Like the most you could say is like Microsoft Flight Simulator, you know, but like that's it. All the Microsoft Game Studio stuff, maybe Fable. I don't know, but like, you know, Gears of War, kinda. But these are all franchises that like, they weren't really Microsoft. They were just companies that Microsoft paid or bought, you know, like Gears of War. That was Epic Publishing and all that, if I remember correctly, initially at least. And it kind of became a Microsoft thing over time, but like, I don't remember being like pitched as like a specifically, like a Halo, you know. Halo, I think, is really the only game that like, if you say Halo, people think Microsoft Xbox. Gears, yeah, you know, but only because there's so many Gears games that came out on Xbox. So you could say like Halo, Gears, Forza, you know, that little trifecta. But like, there was so much more to the Microsoft, you know, game stuff. Like nobody ever brings up Rare, which is funny considering how successful things like Sea of Thieves is and stuff. But like, the only people that talk about Rare when it comes to Microsoft is old nostalgic Nintendo gamers. You know, like that's about it. You know, like you could put Rare Replay on Nintendo Switch and old Nintendo nerds would just melt down in excitement. Everybody else would be like, I guess that's cool. My kid will probably like it. You know, like that's just kind of where we're at. So, you know, like, yeah, there's just that mindshare thing. So I think what Xbox has really just failed at is they spent so much time trying to be a counter to Sony, as opposed to being their own thing, that now they don't feel like anything. It's a brand, but it's all corporate, and like the only reason you're buying into Xbox anymore is because they own so much of it. You don't have a choice. I mean, you do, but you're going to miss out on a large chunk of the gaming industry because they own so much of it now. You want to play World of Warcraft or Call of Duty, which are two of the biggest multiplayer online games right now. You got to go through those guys, that type of thing. Right. So yeah, it's an interesting future we're heading into. But I feel like the reason we're here, is because Microsoft has spent so little time over the last couple of decades building that level of like attachment to their properties, to the feel of their ecosystem. And I say that as like somebody who's not somebody who jumps into Xbox stuff all the time. Like, I have an Xbox 360, I have an original Xbox. I actually have multiple of both of them. I had an Xbox Series S, an Xbox One X, and I liked it, but like it felt a lot more sterile compared to the 360, and definitely compared to the original Xbox. So and then it doesn't feel like it's gotten any better since. So, yeah, it's interesting to see this change. So with that in mind, all of this to say, that like, I'm hopeful for the future of Xbox. I really want to see where they're going to go with this. But I'm not hopeful for the future of Xbox, because I have this feeling that, like, while we are at the point now where there's excitement about, the future in terms of like where they could go with this, I feel like at a certain point, we'll say hypothetically, a decade down the road, the initiative is not going to really pay off any more than the Epic Game Store did in terms of moving the needle on PC gaming. I would like to be wrong. This is one of those things I'd love to go back to in like 10 years and be like, oh, all right, well, I was way off. I would love to do that. I would love to be that person. I would love to be able to sit back and just be like, oh, okay, yeah, like for sure. Like holy crap, I cannot believe how successful the Xbox games, branding thing was. Like, beyond my wildest dreams. I would love to be wrong. In a good way. I hope it's not going to be like, monkey's paw wish, where it turns out it was a good thing for Microsoft and crappy thing for everybody else. But yeah, I mean, like, I would like to see, because like, it's good to see these kinds of things where the companies are trying to at least exist and carve out a space and serve the demands of customers, and just, like, the one thing I will say about Microsoft being in the industry, is they did fulfill a similar role to Sega, where the technologies and ideas they put into the industry, while some of them were bad, in a lot of cases, some of their ideas were just successful enough that they changed how things were, in ways that, like, even though they might not be, like, I don't like the idea of paying for online play, but that said, Xbox Live, was a hugely transformative thing for the industry. You would not have PlayStation, Network. You would not have Nintendo Online. You wouldn't have a lot of that stuff without the Xbox Live, stuff. So, like, just something like that, along with other things that they've done, definitely they've made their impact on the industry, regardless of what you think about the overall result of that. So to have them around, it keeps things interesting. I don't want Sony to be complacent. I don't want Sony to be like, haha, we have defeated the enemy and now we can just be an asshole. Especially because Nintendo has shifted so far in their own stuff that, like, they're not, they're currently at least not a major competitor to Sony's stuff. But be careful with that part too, because the Switch is the Switch 2 is not a crappy console. Like, yes, compared to the power of the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, it is not nearly that powerful. But like, the visuals that a Switch 2 can produce for many people are going to be good enough. Like, we are no longer in that era of game technology where every generation is a massive leap over the previous one. Like, I hate to break it to people, but the PlayStation 6 and the Xbox whatever that is coming, they are going to look better, yeah, sure. But most of it is going to be, very few games are going to ever show the true raw potential of those consoles. And most games are going to look like the same games you could play in your PlayStation 4 and your PlayStation 5. And in that environment, the power of the Switch 2 is going to be good enough for most people, just like it was good enough when it was the Switch 1. So keeping that in mind, the market that is changing is going to be interesting, because there isn't really a need to push graphics anymore. Budgets are getting too high to do it. The development time is getting too high to do it. So game companies, in that desire to get more revenue, are gonna shift their goals. And this is the other reason you're seeing Microsoft do this. There's no point to making another high-end console and trying to compete with Sony for a dwindling reason. You know, like, being state of the art is not profitable anymore. It's just not. So, you know, like, you want to be good enough, you want to have, you know, enough state of the art to be able to have the things that people want. But like, there's, you know, I mean, just using the example here, the PlayStation 5, you know, even the PS5 Pro, like, how far can you really push that and still be cheap? Like, your average budget for a game now is so big, and your time frame for releasing these games is so long, that you might get one brand new game, you know, for a franchise a generation at most. At most. Like, here we are, we're into what, year 6 of the PS5? No, I'm just kidding. But like, kinda. We're like 4 or 5 years into the PS5, and most of the big games that have come out for the PS5 were also PS4 games or started as PS4 games. There are very few built from the ground up games on the PS5 that push it as hard as possible. Even for the Series X, for Microsoft, the only game on that console that pushes it ridiculously hard from the ground up is Senua's Blade 2, which arguably isn't so much of a game as it is just a really, really good cinematic experience. You know, like Indiana Jones, sure, I guess it's pretty high end. Doom Dark Ages, sure, that id Tech engine's really good, but like, you know, like, when you think about like games that push graphical fidelity to the extremes, those games are just getting less and less common, because the advancements in technology and the cost of producing those games, is just getting too expensive. So this is Microsoft getting away from all that and trying to have their cake and eat it too. They get to have the benefit of being like, you know, tapping into audiences and other platforms, and also not having to worry too much about the development side of like keeping a hardware business going while your software costs are getting so high. You can take a gamble, you know, like, because you have so many companies under your umbrella, you can have your Call of Duty push AAA budget costs, and then use, like, say, Obsidian to push out something a little bit cheaper and make some money back that way, hopefully. Or, you know, because you got Game Pass, you can come up with a deal where you're like, hey, you know, indie company that has 50 employees, you know, hey, we're Microsoft, we'll toss you like a cool $1 million or $2 million as long as you put your game on Game Pass first. You know, like, those strategies are kind of, I think, where Microsoft is going these days. So, yeah, excited for the future for sure. So we'll see where all this goes. All right, I think I've definitely ranted enough on this. So let's keep going. We'll watch the trailers and wrap this up. Ominous music. Bandai, let's show what you got. Rebel Wolves. Vampires?
Monsters have always been here, watching from the shadows. And when we were at our weakest, they came out into the light. We feared for our lives.
Redfall 2.
We should have feared for our souls instead. The vampires didn't come to kill us. No, they came to rule. To turn us into mindless, docile cattle. Not me, though. They tried to change me into one of them. But I became something else instead.
So this is Medieval Blade.
Their worst nightmare.
Yeah.
A Dawnwalker. Trapped between the two worlds. Fighting to even the score. Fighting to understand the evil behind it all. He is out there watching, seeping into you, growing.
It feels like a we have Witcher at home kind of moment. Not sure how I feel about that. Interesting, I just realized at the end of that trailer has ending for other consoles. Did you see that? Really? I'm on PC. Check this out. Steam PS5. I noticed the branding here for the Xbox is the biggest. Also, interesting change on the branding here. Xbox PC now. So they're acting as if it's like a platform on its own. Xbox Cloud is like when you have Game Pass on your phone and stuff like that. Is all cloud streaming. You know, there's no native support at all. Xbox PC, of course, is PC games, and then you can also pay for cloud streaming. And then Xbox Series. But this was PC Game Pass before. It was not just PC. So that's an interesting change. But yeah, usually, Xbox Play Anywhere. So there's Xbox branding all over this. But like, here it is, Steam and PS5. Kind of makes you wonder, though, about this right here. Because I noticed that they've been embracing Steam more anyway. But PS5 being there is curious. Because the PlayStation stuff still doesn't really show any Xbox stuff or the Switch stuff. I don't remember seeing any of that in their trailers. Usually they have their own trailer, which is like just a PlayStation specific trailer, you know, where like it's the same trailer as all the other platforms, but it doesn't show the other platforms at the end when it's doing the announcement. Here though, this is interesting. But yes, this game definitely felt like we have Witcher. Temu Witcher. Wish.com Witcher. You really don't need that branding in front of every trailer. We get it.
World
Same.
premiere.
World premiere. Oh wow, Meat Boy 3D. I'll pass. The original was hard enough, man.
Super Meat Boy 3D.
Oh, see, there you go. Again. They really just have given up, haven't they? Oh my god. We don't need this in front of every trailer.
Watch your back, Yakumo.
Team Ninja, huh?
Criminal man.
Platinum!
Dark Dragon myself.
Oh yeah, that's right. This is the new Ninja Gaiden.
Raven Ninja.
This does look sick as hell, man.
The Dark Dragon free has its consequences.
This is it.
Sayori.
Ryu, there's something I need your help with.
Wow, this looks amazing. Is this, I hope for this is just this year. Whoa. That transformable weapon stuff is sick looking.
The Dark Dragon is mine.
That looks so good. Oh, man, this October is going to be wild. DLC?
Here we go.
Good luck, Indy.
What are you doing, Jones? Are you crazy?
Oh, it's just
This is where it starts. Beneath the streets of Rome.
yeah, I think this is
Enter the
DLC.
city of Antioch. Find a secret relic. Bring it back to the Holy See. Defend the secret. They worshipped the giants.
Ooh. Cool. I'm glad they're continuing like some adventure stuff instead of just like leaving it alone. It was a good game.
はるか昔この国に輪廻の獣が現れた。輪廻の獣は汚れを吐き、あらゆる生物を蝕んだ。
Game Freak? Oh man, that performance. I mean, it looks cool.
西暦4026年、人類は滅亡を待つのみ。封じ子エマ、お前こそが輪廻の獣を滅ぼす刃となる。
Just funny that it's by Game Freak. You don't often like think of the Pokemon Company as the company that makes third-party games. They can. They're not owned by Nintendo. Pokemon is partly owned by Nintendo, but Game Freak is its own thing.
The glittering streets of Avalon sure do shine. Because they swoop their filth down to us.
Is this Clockwork? Yep.
Who's for a paper?
Here's to playing in the mud. Life here ain't for the soft-hearted.
You will be paying me back until you fucking rust.
It ain't for the spineless.
Keep your filthy pickers off me!
And it sure as shit ain't for the decent.
That's a clean sweep for one.
There has been a crime! Justice itself has been affronted! I have been burgled!
Lord Griswick. Yes, I got that part. Do you know anyone who might wish you ill? We can't arrest and question everyone. Let's see if we can narrow the suspects down a bit.
Yeah, this looks way more interesting than Outer Wilds.
Your instincts, sir.
Tall.
Yes, sir.
Built rather slim, well, muscular. Mm-hmm. Was very quick, agile.
Go on.
With a mustache. No, larger.
I see.
Quite fashionable. That's the fiend who robbed me.
They got my good side this time. Breaking in is the easy part.
Your brandy, sir.
Play with it is the real trick.
These candlesticks ain't gold. Worthless and dull, just like you. Nah, I have a customer. How can I help you?
I'd rather talk to you, Errol. Sounds like I'll get a better deal.
You talk to me first, and him never. Got it?
Uncle's a bit touchy, ain't he, Errol?
Touchy? I say I'm touchy! There. Anything else you'd care to say to Errol? Brains. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I wouldn't have believed it.
Round here, it's all sharp
Wow.
edges, empty pockets, and blood on the cobbles. Goodbye, Silas.
No, no! I'll hurt you, you fucking meatsack! I'll leave you with a pissing pan of peaches!
You'd either got a gang at your back, or a knife in it.
We're family here. Family takes care of its own.
Can't put a price on that, can you?
Them's in charge. They don't keep order. They keep power.
Take this thing into the crucible and melt it.
They just want us beaten, broken, and too scared to fight back.
I don't want to kill him!
That's why it pays to be clever and well-armed. Let's go and end a few arguments. Don't get cocky. They've got a weapon far worse.
This is so cool to watch. Sorry, I'm just fascinated.
And if they can rewrite history, they can rewrite
us. But look who just found Mummy's keys. Now I can fiddle with time. Put the bullet back in the barrel. Bring the chaos to a crawl. Take a mistake and make it like it never happened. We can change the world as we know it. One choice at a time. And I can even go back and change the past to change the future. And let me tell ya, the hunters don't like it when the rabbits got the gun.
That's kind of cool power. Okay.
Now let me alone and piss off.
Coming in due time is a frustrating thing to see, though.
Our creative teams are dedicated to bringing players award-winning, record-breaking, critically acclaimed games. Call of Duty, Black Ops 6 from Activision, Doom, The Dark Ages from Bethesda, Diablo 4, Vessel of Hatred from Blizzard, and Avowed from Xbox Game Studios. All of our teams across Xbox First Party are shipping their most played games ever, and they're also delivering more content than ever before. From original single-player experiences to vast online worlds, our teams are empowered to build the games they've always dreamed of. We want our players to have the choice and flexibility of where and how they play the games our teams make. So of course, our games will be available day one in Game Pass, and every new game we make for both Xbox consoles and PC will be Xbox Play Anywhere. On behalf of our creative teams, thank you. These experiences don't stop when you put down the controller. As you've seen in recent years, more and more of our characters, stories, and worlds are expanding to brand new audiences through TV and film. A Minecraft movie and the Fallout TV series broke records and brought millions of players into the game. We have more projects in the works as gaming continues to influence film and television like never before. When it comes to growing new franchises, Obsidian is having a year like no other. From launching a blockbuster new game like Avowed to the upcoming release of The Outer Worlds 2 this October. Obsidian is always delivering great games, and they have a third game launching this year. You'll get to go deeper on it in our Direct, but until then, let's take a look.
New Obsidian game, huh?
World premiere.
I told you, you can't run from me, you foul beast! With new flexible legs, the Yoke Girth action figure can ride anything!
Breaking news. There's been
the
an
hell?
explosion at Brook Hollow Park. Chaos descended on a ceremony commemorating the 2-year anniversary of when 4 teenagers were miniaturized
Grounded
against
too?
their will and left to fight for their survival in the backyard of a deranged scientist. Formerly evil company Ominent Practical Technologies was set to dedicate a statue of the 4 teenagers, fast food science robot Burgle, and Dr. Tully when an explosion erupted. Dr. Tully and the teenagers' current whereabouts are also unknown.
You gotta keep them separated.
Oh. This game was so good. The first Grounded, at least, you know. So soon. Wow. I was not expecting that. Grounded 2's that looks good.
ND3500 reached. Accessing predecessor's travel log. Attempting data salvage.
Uber team.
Encountered an unprecedented orphan. It was in a state of suppressed recomposition.
The behavior pattern of the orphans populating the area is highly unusual. They become exceptionally aggressive.
It is highly recommended to proceed with caution.
I'm surprised at how well this game has done, though, all things considered. It's definitely had staying power.
World premiere.
Mayday! Mayday! Hope 1 to mission control. We're falling! Thomas, the ship's breaking apart. There's no time. Evacuate now. Thomas, come in.
Ariane, you sacrificed everything for a new world to save mankind. And I'll always love you for that.
Ooh, a Don't Nod game. Oh no, not this song. Why do trailers keep using this song? Gosh. This is the exact same song they used for the first Descendant. I think there was like a Spectrum TV, like cable TV commercial for this, with this song.
Thomas, wherever you are, I'll find you.
Well, Thomas is dead. A game in collaborate. Wait, what? Go back on that. Go back. I don't know how everybody else's YouTube is so smooth when they do the rewinding and shit, and mine's like it buffers every 2 seconds. So, in collaboration with the European Space Agency. Interesting. I mean, cool, but like, I wonder what that involvement actually entails. To try to make it more accurate to like space technology and stuff? I'm not really sure the deal there. So, I mean, it seems like an okay game. There's tons of games that are kind of like this. So, I don't know what's going to make this one stand out outside of the Don't Nod storytelling, which might be why it stands out. I don't know. But kind of interesting. World premiere.
Welcome to England, Mr. David. I know this must be a shock, having never met your real father, but he left you this hotel in his will. It's been in your family for generations, much like the caretaker. He's a little eccentric. You'll see.
Let me welcome you to the Grand, a hotel famous across the land. Every room used to be in such high demand. Your wish I'll command here at the Grand.
Well, hello there. It looks like you're about to do some renovations. Would you like some help with that?
So, my father was renovating the hotel when he disappeared?
Not just the hotel. He was helping the entire village. You have his power tools. You know, you could pick up where he left off. You seem like a good man, like he was.
I'm in. They don't suspect a thing.
Just make sure the locals don't get wind of what you're really up to. Because if they find out, they will wicker man your ass.
You keep looking into things, and things are gonna start looking back. Don't make the same mistake your father made. In this place, the only one you can really trust is me.
Interesting. Is this like a musical game? Cool concept, actually. I think that one actually is probably one of the more unique games I've seen in a while. I mean, it looks like other games, but it doesn't look like it plays like other games.
There are as many gods in the world as there are stars in the heavens. And when we need their help, they send us a hero. Who would have guessed the defender of my homeland would be my daughter?
She unlocked the heavenly spear, but is she worthy?
Is this like a Total War game? Oh, Age of Mythology?
You can't rule if the heavenly spear is mine.
Okay. Feel like RTS games, I guess. I don't know if it's real-time strategy, but it's a strategy game.
주권 국가의 자주적 결정을 누가 허락하는가? 만약 이 결정이 패권 국가의 특정 정치 집단의 이익을 저해한다면 당신의 특정 행동이 대중의 의사결정에 영향을 미칠 수 있으며 반대로 누군가는 당신의 의사결정에 영향을 주려 한다는 것을 인지할 때 자신만의 온전한 입장을 세울 수 있지 않을까? 당신의 입장은 온전한 본인의 판단인가? 그렇게 믿고 있거나 믿고 싶을 뿐.
What is this?
당신은 무엇 때문에 분노하는지.
Is it like a zombie game?
당신의 분노는 스스로 결정한 것인가?
This looks really interesting.
당신의 분노를 이용한다. 지정태. 지정태.
Oh dang, 2 hearts. Oh dang, that sounds so familiar. Is this based on a movie? I don't know, but it looks cool. That's all I know. I look pretty sick. Next year is definitely going to be stacked with all the games I've seen teasers for this year.
Novo. Te kemaite mana. Muite unanite waiora. Dia. Novo tu alibemo iwalotaname. Ona utalima diefema. Te onami.
Oh! Planet of Lana 2. I didn't know there was a Planet of Lana 1. Looked interesting. That's got it. The first one's got to be on Game Pass then, right?
Well, hello there. Beautiful day to relax by the old fishing hole, wouldn't you say? When it comes to fishing, Appalachia is a land aswim with opportunity. Yes, you'll find fish of all flavors in every walk of waterway, from its mightiest of rivers to its humblest of ponds. Just step up to the bank, cast your line, and when your bobber starts bobbing, reel in the rewards. What do you got on there, Jed? Worms. And how are they biting today?
See for yourself.
Bagging the big fish starts with finding the right tools for the job. There are as many unique combinations of rods, reels, bobbers, and baits as there are fish in the sea.
Here's how I feel about this right now.
When you've caught your fill, pop over to the local tackle shop to swap fish tails. Can you smell that? No matter what trouble,
I'm just kidding. I'm sure somebody out there is excited they can fish at Fallout.
You can always find comfort in cozy little joys like this. You just got to know where to look. Vault Life is your ticket to easy living. Design and build your own little slice of paradise. A place to show off all the bits and bobs you collect in your travels. Got a green thumb? Plant your own peaceful vegetable garden. And nothing warms the heart like a neighborhood cookout. Ah, community makes a wasteland a waste home. Join today, and tomorrow you'll be kicking back and sharing a meal with friends in beautiful Appalachia.
All right, that part was kind of funny.
World premiere.
Solo leveling. I mean, it's flashy, I'll give it that. I don't know, solo leveling never did anything for me.
World premiere.
looks like a better Pal World. I'm just kidding. It looks cute though.
Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Tony Hawk Pro Skater. I just want to
Hey,
say
it's that
thank you,
guy.
everyone, for all the love and support we've seen since we announced Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 a few months ago. These games have changed my life, but more than that, I've seen them help spread a love and appreciation for skating all over the world, and that means everything to me and the team. I can't wait for you all to experience the game. It's been rebuilt with so much care and attention to detail, with some brand new parks, new music, new skaters, and more. And you can enjoy it all with your friends with up to 8 players in multiplayer. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 officially drops July 11th, and we have a lot more surprises to come. Check out the launch trailer now.
Cool. That's a cool effect. Show people what the original courses look like with the upgraded stuff. And of course the OG licensed music. Ninja Turtles? That's kind of cool, actually. You only get to play the demo if you pre-order the game. That's fucking bullshit. That's fucking bullshit. Did you see that? Foundry demo available for pre-orders on Xbox, blah, blah, blah. So you have to buy the game to play the demo to see if you like to play the game. That's stupid. The whole fucking point of a demo is that you're supposed to be able to try it before you buy it. To have the demo there, what's the point? Like, if you're gonna pre-order the game for $70 or whatever this probably will be, you know, like, sorry, I just find that very frustrating. I find that very frustrating. Like, what the fuck? But yeah, low poly depression is probably laughing right now with the Doom guy in there though. I mean, let's be honest. If this is as good as Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, you know, which it probably is, you know, you should just buy this because it's going to be good. But like, it's still, the demo thing is just very irksome.
World premiere.
That's a really cool animation. Oh, that's cool looking. Very cool art. Hey, it's Gears.
Decided to show up.
I know that level.
You think you can still find your way back home, Phoenix?
Looks like they upgraded. Baby. Let's do this.
This is gonna be awesome.
Form up!
Wow, PS5. I don't think I ever would have thought that a Gears of War game would be on a PS5. That's, like I said, times are changing. It looks really good, though. I definitely want to play that. I play Gears of War, of course, but like that looks good. That looks like a nice remaster. Persona? Is this a Persona game? No. Oh my god. They cannot let go of this one, can they? I don't know what it is about Persona 4 that like everybody gravitates to so much versus like any of the other Personas, but man, it I mean, cool, I guess, but it's unless they're planning on changing up the story, it's the same game, it's just going to look different. I don't know. To me that just seems, I don't know. Maybe this will drag in people who've never played Persona before or something. I don't know, but like yeah, this seems weird.
The Smugglers League is always there. But you won't see us. You won't hear us. And the only way you'd ever know it is if that's what we wanted. As smugglers, we deal in the goods others are afraid to handle. Guns, explosives.
And don't forget the rum.
It's a life of danger like no other. So I guess my question is,
Can you handle that?
Getting your hands on gold is one thing, but you should know that this is what we're really after. The bigger the boom, the better. Smugglers need to be adaptable. It's more than moving under moonlight and shadows. You should be ready to take advantage of others' misfortune. Stealing, of course, is always an option. Just do whatever it takes to get the job done. You are pirates, after all.
Welcome, my friends, to the Smugglers League. You're paying for that.
Wow. The only rare title that's done anything over the last decade. Glad people like Sea of Thieves, though.
World premiere.
What? Even he's tired of it.
This is ridiculous. Please, come on. Are you one of them? You're here, but
Had enough yet?
No, Dad, not even close.
Okay.
You'd understand why I had to do this. Accept our rule or die.
I'd like to propose a third option.
I'm not your son anymore. I'm the guy who's going to throw you off this planet for good. I trusted you!
Was that the Mortal Kombat announcer? This feels very NetherRealm.
See how you like this? It's an army.
I am ending you. I see it all now.
Damn. Yeah, I mean, it's not NetherRealm, but man, that definitely had NetherRealm vibes to it. Also, that right at the beginning there when they start fighting. Let's see, where is that at?
I'm not your son anymore. I'm the guy who's going to throw you off this planet for good. I trusted you.
That fight right there, that is... I've heard that fight before. Anyways, it looks cool. I guess. I don't know. I don't know how much mileage you're going to get out of an Invincible-only fighting game. And I'm going to be honest, like... Okay, hot take here about fighting games nowadays. I feel like every fighting game is basically the same fucking thing. Like... I don't mean it like literally, but like they all have very flashy, gimmicky visuals, the same like stopness to them. They all just seem to kind of look the same in terms of like yeah, it's Invincible, or yeah, it's Guilty Gear, or yeah, it's Street Fighter, but like there's this like like look to all the games, like when the characters are fighting each other. Very, very, like the hit stopping is almost too much, and then like the sound effects, like I am really not a fan of NetherRealm's Mortal Kombat sound effects these days. I'm used to very like punchy, like boom, boom, like type of, like this is gonna hurt because it hits, like it's a very solid sound. But like when I hear, like I watch Maximilian play Mortal Kombat or something like that, Mortal Kombat 11 or Mortal Kombat 1, and like it just sounds like somebody sliced things like through water. Like it just sounds like fruit slicing and stuff, like shoo, 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 very like, like slushy, like slicey sounds. There's not a lot of like thumping bass of like, oh, that was a hard hit type of stuff. And then the juggling is just kind of like, I don't know. Admittedly, like if you're a fan of this shit, good for you. But like, I don't know. It just feels like I look at a lot of fighting games now and I'm like, it's a fighting game. Like it just looks cool. But like it just looks like the same. That Marvel one that just got announced, it looks okay. It's just another tag fighter. I'm not seeing anything about it that like is exciting. Like it looks cool, don't get me wrong. I'm excited to see a Marvel fighting game, but like visually, from the art direction to the way that the characters are fighting each other, I'm just not that excited about it. I don't know how to describe it, because it's like visually, yeah, it looks cool. Like it's weird to see something that looks good and then not feel anything for it. And I like fighting games, but like the last fighting game, I mean, Street Fighter 6 looks great. Don't get me wrong. Street Fighter 6, but like Street Fighter 6 is an evolution of 5, which is an evolution of 4. They all have slightly different like designs to them. Like they don't all look the same, but like, you can see a path from like when they designed Street Fighter 4 and then moved to 5 and then went from 5 to 6. You can see the upgrade path, right? Like, so Street Fighter 6 looks fantastic and everything. It also looks and plays the most like a Street Fighter game, like it, if that makes any sense. Like it still feels like Street Fighter. I don't know what the fuck Mortal Kombat is anymore, but like, I don't know. I feel like something that is happening, as time has progressed, is like there's a level of homogenization, I think, where everything just looks good. But because of that, everything kind of looks bland. Like nothing is really distinctive anymore. And like when you do have distinctive things, everybody copies it immediately and then it's no longer distinctive. Like Into the Spider-Verse looked great and proved that you could do 3D animation that had a 2D animation feel to it. But like then everybody started doing that, some of these games you've seen trailers for where it's like, they have that like stop motion-y type of look to them, or like a claymation look to them. Rubber hose animation has now become, pretty common in a lot of games. I've seen at least 2 different trailers of Rubber Hose, actually 3 different games that got revealed in this Game Fest week that had rubber hose animation in 3D. So like, yeah, just, it feels like there's just that like visual distinctiveness is just kind of like, I don't know. It's weird to explain it like this, like to have this vibe about art. I feel like with anime, side tangent here, I'm going off a side tangent, but like I feel like with anime, it's kind of the same thing right now, where it's like there's just a certain kind of like visual thing about anime that like I don't know. I'm just not like, ever since they've kind of been switching to like digital coloring and stuff, there's just like this certain level of rawness that isn't there anymore. The imperfections, I guess you'd say, in the art. You know, like I guess when I'm looking at like old 2D fighting games, there's you know, a level of like rawness and jink to the design. You know, the animation frames aren't always that great, or like the backgrounds have static elements that kind of stick out, or you know, like Virtua Fighter is a really good example of that. The original Virtua Fighter, like it's a 3D arena, sure, but like everything else around it is pretty much basically just 2D elements. Like, but you're not really looking at that for the most part when you're focusing on your opponent. So like, yeah, you know, the Mortal Kombat stages, you know, from like let's say you know, Mortal Kombat 3, you know, you got the church. It's just some candles, 2D candles in front of the screen, giving you the illusion of like you're in a church, I guess. I don't know, but like, yeah, I don't know. It just yeah, it just feels like there's some visual distinctiveness that's kind of lost with time, I think. And with that, I feel like a lot of the ways the games look when you see them actually being played out, like that Invincible 3v3 looks just as similar to the Marvel one that we had the other day. Like, yeah, obviously the visuals, you can tell there's a difference. You know, Arc System Works has a very distinctive style to it and everything, but like it just looks like a tag team fighter that, you know, the same with the Power Rangers one that came out, the same with you know, Injustice, the same with, you know, like there's another realm look, you know, but like at the end of the day, they all look like they play the same from the outsider perspective. You know, like if you're somebody who's a casual fighting game fan or somebody who doesn't really play fighting games but might come across it, it just kind of looks like every other fighting game. There's no like flavor of fighting game anymore, I guess you could say. Like I think that's really where I'm going with this, is like there's no flavor anymore. You know, like Primal Rage is a fucking flavor of fighting game. Time Killers is a flavor. Virtua Fighter is a flavor. Tekken is a flavor. You know, Street Fighter is a flavor. Mortal Kombat is a flavor. They all, like when I bring up just now, even just saying those words, Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter, you have a visual depiction in your brain of what this game looks like, and you know this game looks and plays and sounds and feels completely different. If that makes any sense. And then, like, yeah, there's might be a copycat. Like for every Mortal Kombat, there was a, you know, Death Cage or whatever that was with like the Johnny Cage actor, you know, like, but like, you know, there was tons of those types of games that tried to ape those styles, but like, you always knew that the originals stood out and stuff. I don't know. It's hard to explain it, but you know, and maybe that's something other people are noticing too. I don't know, but like, that's why this Invincible fighting game, I just think it's going to crash and burn. I don't think there's nothing about it that looks interesting. I'm sorry. It's Invincible. Unless you really like Invincible, I just don't really see the point of this game. I just don't. Yeah, I also don't see the point of this either.
I'm here to even the odds. Any objections?
Know your place, little lamb.
This is only really good if you only play Xbox console games. If you don't play anything else, if you only play Xbox console games, this is great for you. I feel like if you're a PC gamer, if you're a PlayStation gamer, you've already been able to have multiple chances to play Final Fantasy over the years. You know, so grats to the people getting this for the first time, I guess, but just feels like a very too little too late kind of thing.
There's no one to save you now.
You will answer for what you've done!
Our flames are our own, and they burn as one. Valisthea cannot endure a second claim upon her being, but she may yet be saved by you.
premiere.
Double Fine game. Okay. That's appropriately weird.
Games like Psychonauts 2 showed how Double Fine excels at creating unique and innovative experiences, and Keeper is no exception. Looking ahead, next year marks 25 years of Xbox. It's a big milestone for the platform and franchises that you helped build and make popular. We couldn't have done this without everyone who's been with us on this journey. As we think about bringing a new generation of players to these iconic franchises, I'm excited to share that players will get to celebrate 25 years of Xbox with a new Fable, the next Forza, Gears of War E-Day, and the return of a classic that's been with us since the beginning. Today,
Links to Time Sweeper.
You've seen an incredible range of games from creators across the globe. Creators like inXile, reaching for new heights with Clockwork Revolution. Sluggerfly, making Team Meat's modern classic platformer into 3D. Square Enix, bringing more of the critically acclaimed Final Fantasy franchise to our players. And Team Ninja, returning to the beloved series they debuted on Xbox. You've also seen the next Xbox hardware release, our Xbox Ally handheld, which lets you bring your Xbox experience and your library with you anywhere. I hope you enjoyed the breadth and depth of the games, updates, and experiences that are coming to Xbox from our partners and our own creative teams. We're seeing more players on our platform and in our games than ever, thanks to all of you. We're proud of the creativity that Obsidian is delivering this year. Immediately after Showcase, our Direct begins, where you'll go inside the studio for an extended look at The Outer Worlds 2 and Grounded 2. Thanks for joining us today. But before we get into the Direct, we have a final world premiere. Enjoy.
Could this be?
World premiere.
Before we finish this up with this stuff, I might watch the Grounded 2 stuff. I don't really care about the Outer Wilds. I just want to comment on something that I've noticed. Now that this is basically done, we're at the final trailer. An interesting parallel, I guess you'd say, or juxtaposition between this and the Sony State of Play is that the Sony State of Play was almost entirely third-party games, whereas this has been pretty much just first-party games with a couple of third-party games. It really shows the difference now between Microsoft and Sony in terms of their status in the industry. In a way, Microsoft has become the third-party publisher, and Sony will continue to get third-party publishers for its platform. It's not reliant on first-party to keep its platform going. That was the thing when I was thinking about the Sony State of Play, I was like, that's the most PlayStation State of Play we've had in a while. And when I thought about it, I couldn't really put my finger on like why that felt like that. But now seeing this, I think I realized why the State of Play felt the way it did. Why it felt like a PlayStation thing. More than a lot of State of Plays have kind of been. And I think the reason why is because the PlayStation brand has been built on third parties. Like, if you rattle off a large number of games for the PlayStation in terms of like going back to what we were saying earlier, the console identity of things, everybody thinks of things like Ape Escape and, other Sony games, but they also think of things like Metal Gear Solid, Final Fantasy, like that type of stuff, Resident Evil, Silent Hill, like a lot of those games, they're associated with the PlayStation brand more than any other platform. Kind of like with Nintendo, a lot of people still don't think of Rare as a Microsoft company, because Rare's output since they've joined Microsoft hasn't really been that prolific. So maybe Sea of Thieves might be really the only big one, unless you're a very early Xbox gamer that you might remember like Cameo and Grab by the Ghoulies or something. But like for the most part, Rare is Killer Instinct. It's Banjo-Kazooie. It's those kind of Donkey Kong Country. So it's like that kind of vibe. Like you associate certain games and certain like design aspects with certain platforms. So it is interesting to see this parallel, and I think now I kind of realize why I was thinking of that about the State of Play, because it does feel so different. Even though a lot of the games are kind of similar, sure, but like, yeah, and nothing I've seen so far. Just reflecting on this this particular Xbox showcase, nothing I've seen so far, I'm just like, gotta play it. I'm feeling that, the same I felt like about the Summer Game Fest, where there's some cool trailers and there's definitely some games that I would be very interested in trying out. But nothing really grabbed me as like, oh my gosh, holy shit. There was a few, like Mina the Hollower. I'm absolutely playing that. There's a demo. I'm going to be downloading it and playing it. Very excited about that. But like, for the most part, I mean, yeah, there's just some cool games, It was weird that I was more excited about something like Ill, just because of how like cool it looked, like visceral, but nothing in this one. I think the Clockwork one was probably the only one that I was like, yeah, that looks like something I would really want to play. Outer Wilds, I just don't feel it. I didn't like the first one. It was trying to catch that like Fallout vibe, but like it never really felt like it matched it. I know Co Carnage was all about it, but he loves those kind of games. He loves those kind of games anyway, so it's like, yeah. But yeah, other than that, I couldn't really think of any games that stood out. Obviously Gears of War or something like that, sure, but like, yeah, this wasn't feeling too much. There was some really cool looking games though. The Spiritfarer studio, that game looked really cool. So yeah, but like nothing super exciting so far from any of these companies. Just stuff that like it looks cool. When it gets closer to release date, I might be more interested, like that kind of vibe. And of course, I'm kind of annoyed at how Silksong just feels like it's getting treated really weirdly. So, all right, let's wrap this up and see what their cool world premiere is. That's an interesting little thing with the butterfly. Yay. It's getting late. I'm tired.
Welcome to the Guild. We have been expecting you. Please, follow me. You already know us as a global tech leader. Our software, our systems, combined with our skilled team, is designed to save lives. Your years of service have shown you the importance of our work. Here, you'll witness the global scope of that mission in action. Let me introduce you to our esteemed visionary.
too long, we have been bound by outdated systems, accepting limitations instead of redefining them. The Guild is safeguarding tomorrow, now. We are pioneering the future of protection worldwide. Our advancements are designed to elevate everyday life, reshaping the future of technology on a global scale. I'm Emma Kagan, CEO of the Guild.
Okay, so see Leonardo DiCaprio now?
Fear is a powerful thing. David Mason.
Menendez.
Oh. I guess. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Call of Duty. That trailer did nothing for me. It looked cool. I'll give it that. But I was like, oh, I'm ready for an interesting and unique spin on future robot sci-fi technology stuff. And then I got shooty bang bang guy. Ah well. Yeah. That's Outer Wilds. That's just like a dev look grounded. Alright. Yay. Let's play some music. Alright, that's all exciting and everything. See here. Yeah, I suppose there was like a bunch of like indie type stuff. But to be honest, I'm kind of done with the trailer stuff. At least as far as like watching them on stream. I've kind of let this consume the stream over the last couple of days, and honestly, like, I'm disappointed with these presentations. I don't know. Like, there's a lot of interesting games coming out. I'm excited about the future of gaming, but like, I feel like I'm feeling like if I step back and kind of take a more like chill view of things, everything's going to be fine. Right? Like there's a lot of really cool stuff coming out from small budgets to big budgets for all of the platforms. Gaming as it exists is fine. But like when I look at like that Microsoft presentation, I'm just like, yeah, it's more Microsoft games that I'll play on Game Pass maybe. There's cool stuff, obviously. If you like Tony Hawk, there's more Tony Hawk. If you like Gears of War, hey, you got a new Gears of War game coming out. Like, all that stuff is cool, but, like, I didn't really see anything interesting. But the thing is, like, I'm jaded old gamer guy, not, fresh-eyed 20-year-old kid or something like that, who can get excited about Call of Duty because he hasn't seen 8 million of them. Like, that kind of thing. And to be honest, like, I'm kind of annoyed because I'm looking at the Summer Game Fest thing. Okay, so Silksong reveal? No, it's not revealed. It's weirdly teased. That just irritates me. Let's see here. No Subnautica 2 anything, no Half-Life, no Bloodborne, no Battlefield. The bullet point thing's kind of silly. We always do that every year, but like, yeah. But no Battlefield trailer? Like, really? This just feels weird. You know, no Sega stuff, really. I mean, there was the Persona thing, I guess. Really disappointed that there really wasn't that much Sega stuff. You know, the Game Fest really only had the Sonic Crossworlds game. There really wasn't anything in the State of Play. And, you know, here we are again, you know. And there's games coming out, like there's Shinobi and stuff like that. So it's just weird that, like, Sega hasn't really been, like, revealing much. Obviously, they're not ready. But, like, still, it's just kind of, you know, Square stuff, yeah. It's just mostly ports. No Dragon Ball Z Fighters, which, again, makes sense because they're doing Marvel vs. Cap... Or, well, not Marvel vs. Capcom, but a new Marvel fighting game. No VR stuff in the Xbox show, which was interesting. Let's see. And no Killer Instinct, which is just frustrating. I feel like Killer Instinct is still one of the only modern-ish fighting games that has a very distinct feel and look to it. Yeah, going back to my little rant about fighting games earlier. That's kind of about it. There really wasn't anything like unique. A lot of what was in the game show, the Xbox showcase, was like stuff that was already there from last year, and now you're just getting a bigger look at it. Along with a few, you know, trailers that probably could have been in other presentations, and you know, stuff like Grounded 2, which I am surprised Grounded 2 is coming out so quickly, but I guess in hindsight, probably not that surprised. I mean, Grounded's been out for a few years already. But yeah, other than that, you know, Summer Game Fest, again, there was some cool, interesting ones. A lot of the stuff, though, it's not till next year. So, you know, cool, I guess. There is a bunch of stuff coming out around October, which is cool, but, like, you know, really just feeling like we're just at a strange point again in the industry. You know, I don't know. This happens. You get these weird years that, you know, there's a lot happening and there's a lot of cool games announced, but, like, it also feels like an off year where, like, nothing's happening. It's hard to explain it. You know, but yeah, I think my out of all the trailers I've seen, the only one where I'm just like, yes, I cannot wait to play this game, Resident Evil 9. Even though I'm disappointed at the trailer because, like, especially with the Gamescom demo coming, I wish the trailer was a little better. Like, it just felt like more of a teaser than a trailer. But, you know, we'll be getting more info soon, so I'm not really too you know, brokenhearted about that. But it's Resident Evil 9, and you're going back to Raccoon City. I can't ask for anything more than that. That's pretty awesome. You know, this one definitely looks like it's not an Ethan Winters thing where, like, the Resident Evil franchise is tied to it, but it's kind of its own thing. You know, this one looks like it's very much the Chris Clear, Jill, Raccoon City, you know, type of stuff. So, you know, so I'm excited about that. I did see, hold on a sec here. I'll check something out here. Code Veronica. I'm curious about something here. Oh, okay. So it's not Ashcroft. Let's see. Resident Evil 9. Let's see here. No, don't do that. Grace Ashcroft. Okay. So my brain was like, this seems a little weird. So the character in the trailer is Grace Ashcroft. And I'm like, oh, Ashcroft, that seems really familiar. And I was like, I wonder if that ties into Code Veronica, because wasn't that like Ash something was the villain, right? Alfred Ashford was the name of the character, the villain from Code Veronica. So, my bad. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, this is Alfred Ashford. So, all right, never mind then. I was going to go on some wild, crazy thought rant thing, but yeah, seeing that, I'm like, okay, yeah, I suppose. But, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think we're good. Is there any other upcoming presentations? Nope, not that. Oh yeah, that's right. There was the Death Stranding 2 game premiere thing. I think at this point everybody's kind of seen the PC gaming show. Yeah, there was some trailers from that one that seemed like they might be interesting. And then the VR thing is going to be on the 11th. So, all right. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the stream. You know, I'm just going to end it here for the night. And this will just be the Xbox Showcase and Game Fest wrap-up stream. And then I think I'm just going to call it good for the night here. I mean, we're streaming for almost 3 hours anyway. So, yeah, we'll be back probably tomorrow. I really want to be able to have a couple of streams of Mario Kart because, you know, I bought my Switch I was there day one, man. I was in line and everything. So I got my Switch on Thursday when it launched. I got home all excited. Got it all set up and everything, and I have not really had a chance to sit down and just actually play the damn thing for more than like 10 minutes. So I'm looking forward to diving in. I really want to play Mario Kart. The little bit I've managed to play of it is really fun. You know, and like I said before, like even though this is a mostly horror action focused stream, you know, I would, and you know, action adventure, whatever. But like, I definitely do like to hop in to play some retro stuff and other fun things for good palate cleansers and stuff like that too. So definitely going to be getting some Mario Kart in, you know, which will be great. You know, people join my stream. I'll see if we can do some friend code and shares and have multiplayers and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see how that works out. I don't really know how the multiplayer Mario Karts works. I think it's just friend codes. Maybe there's lobbies. I don't know. But in any case, all right. I'm gonna let everybody go here. It's time to get some rest. So thanks for stopping in. You know, enjoying my rantiness. Yeah, kind of just being here. There will be some changes coming to the stream. You may not be seeing this avatar for very long. There might be some other changes happening as well. So no confirmation of anything yet. I'm still kind of working out the details, but yeah. You might be seeing a somewhat new and improved revamp stream a little bit. So, you know, this is kind of my ongoing push to at least get something. My goal, like when I first came back to streaming again, you know, a month ago, you know, one of the things that I said was that I wanted to start streaming regularly, even if it was just a little bit at a time, just to be able to kind of start getting that muscle memory of streaming, you know, and also people are, you know, oh, Stream Crush is on, you know, instead of like, oh, Stream Crush is on, but like, is he ever going to be back? Probably not, you know, like that type of thing. You know, haven't been perfect at it. There was a 2-week break in between Space Marine 2 and then the Game Fest stuff, but yeah, I'm trying to be better about it. You know, speaking stream career wise and stuff like that, one of the things that, you know, is very important for streaming is that you have to be online all the time. And that's hard if you have a full-time job and a life. You know, when you have real world distractions, it's hard to focus on streaming because it's not your main job. You know, so like, for example, all of these trailers and all of these things I've been watching, nobody's going to go to a no-name channel in the middle of the night and watch these trailers with me because I'm not important. But more importantly, the time to have done all that, really, if you think about it, would have been yesterday when this aired, or the day before when Summer Game Fest aired. Like when it actually premiered, to get those live reactions, to get that video exported over to YouTube as fast as possible for the views, that type of thing. And I'm just not built for that. I mean, I just wanted to log on and talk about stuff and stream some games. And I'm often not even that good at that. But I would like to be, and that's part of doing these things, is that you learn and you get better, hopefully, with time. You get better at talking to a camera and talking to nobody. You get better about organizing your thoughts and putting them out there. And hopefully not saying anything too bad about, where you put your foot in your mouth. Things like that. I'm just being candid here, because at some point, maybe somebody will come across this video and come across this segment, and then maybe this will be something that helps them too. And yeah, I mean, there's definitely some cynicism in me lately. I won't lie. I can't help it. I mean, there's just gaming right now is simultaneously the cheapest and most expensive it's been in a long time. And I just feel like whatever gaming is, it's not the gaming that helped define a lot of my younger years. It is something completely different now, and that shift, I think, absolutely happened over the last decade. People will blame horse armor, but the reality is that the real shift in the industry happened after the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 and the Wii. Like, when the Xbox One and the PS4 announced, that was the change. That's when it really started. And that industry has just been a wild changing thing ever since. Whatever gaming is today, it does not look like it did in 2013. Maybe 2015 a little bit, but it definitely doesn't look anything like it did, a little over a decade ago. Whereas you could probably point at 2005 and it would be that seems pretty similar to 1995, in terms of vibe. And it's just not the same now. World outside external things aside, inflation and all that other politics and all that crap. Whatever gaming is now, it often just doesn't look like it did or feel like it did, a long time ago. So change is scary. Change is weird. The nice thing about all this though is that you can always go back to those things. You can relive those heydays. Nostalgia's fun. So, but yeah, at least for streaming and stuff. Yeah, that's my goal, to kind of just keep on keeping on for a bit. Try new things, see what works, see what doesn't. At some point, people will kind of jump along for the journey, right? Can't always be one viewer forever, right? Right. I do need to figure out a way to get a pipeline of content, because ideally using Twitch to get the recording done of things, and then I wish there was, I need to find good tutorials on editing, because I know what an editing is. You take your video and you put it into DaVinci Resolve or whatever editing program, but you see the videos with the cool slices and special effects added and stuff, and I don't know shit about any of that. And tutorials, whenever I look up a tutorial for it, it just looks like I'm reading math instructions. It's just overwhelming, and I don't really know an easy way to start. See, for me, it's more visual. I would rather just copy paste elements. Photoshop, I understand that 100%. Photoshop is super easy, but video editing, I don't know if there's a Photoshop of video editing type of thing where I can just copy paste stuff into the video and stuff. I know how to cut a video and do some very minor editing, but yeah, I don't know how to do all the other fancy stuff. And I've thought about paying somebody to kind of scrub through my videos and make some shorts and clips, but I don't really have the money to be throwing at that kind of stuff all the time either. So I'm not really sure what to do. Plus, it's you don't really want to get involved with people who it's hard to get involved with artists and other people online and not feel like you could have a chance to get ripped off. But who knows? Maybe I'm just overthinking that. So that said, if you're somebody who's interested in editing for a no-name streamer for basically nothing, you know, or even graphics design or something, let me know. Drop a line. Send me a message. I got my business contact, you know, in my socials. You know, maybe there's some way we can work something out. You know, I'm not really sure how well that would help. I mean, people come to the stream all the time and offer unsolicited, hey, you know, art services anyway. I go to their profiles and I'll look, and it's like, yeah, you guys aren't really showing me anything creative. It's just the same junk. It's just bot spam, you know, type of stuff. So, yeah, if I want art, maybe I'll just run over to VGen and commission it. But honestly, like, some of that shit's just like, I know art, you know, I know these people are trying to make a living, but like, holy shit, some of the prices people ask for art is like, man, like, as somebody who actually knows how to art, it is wild to me some of the prices that get commanded. Like porn, I totally get. Drawing porn for a living, yeah, like you can make some buku bucks because people will pay lots of money for porn. Sure, why not? But like, you know, let's say I wanted to have somebody draw a picture of this character, you know, this avatar I'm currently doing. And I was like, hey, take this character and draw it as an anime style. And they'll be like, sure, that'll be $300. And you're like, what the fuck? You know, like, this drawing couldn't take you more than a few hours tops. Why, you know, $100, sure, $50. You know, like, what the fuck? You know, well, pouring my heart and soul into it. It's like, yeah. You wonder why people jump to AI art, even though it's not really art and it's just ripping off people. Anyway, before I get too much more bitter, I'm going to call it a night. You take care, guys. Have fun. I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.